There is an 800-year-old code that can eliminate any weak habit from your life in a matter of weeks. But you have to be willing to symbolically die in order to be reborn. What you're about to discover has completely changed the way I view discipline, self-control, and personal transformation. Imagine a code so powerful that it transformed ordinary men into living legends. A system that not only created invincible warriors, but human beings capable of overcoming any temptation, any weakness, any destructive impulse. I'm talking about Bushido, the way of the warrior. And before you think this is just ancient philosophy with no practical application, just look at this fact. That will shock you. Researchers at Kyoto University found that samurai had a 300% lower rate of moral failure than the general population of the time. They were literally more disciplined, more principled, more able to keep their words and commitments. But here's what no one tells you. They weren't born that way. They became that way by following a specific code. And today, you're going to discover exactly how to apply that code to your modern life. Because by the end of this video, you'll understand why your bad habits are actually symptoms of something much deeper, and how Bushido can cure it at the root. But first, I ask that you subscribe to the channel, like this video, and activate the bell so you don't miss any content. Now, back to the video. Let me tell you a story that will change your perspective on discipline forever. 12th century, feudal Japan. A young samurai named Taira was struggling with a destructive addiction. He drank sake every night until he passed out. His superiors found out, and he was brought before his master. The master did not shout. He did not punish. He simply said, "Taira-san, you are dishonoring not only your name, but your very true nature. Tomorrow, you will commit seppuku on your former self." Seppuku is a traditional Japanese form of self-mutilation. It's actually something more severe than that, but I can't talk about that here due to YouTube's guidelines. Seppuku was a ritual closely associated with the ancient samurai warrior class. It's also sometimes called harakiri. But here's what's fascinating. The seppuku I'm referring to isn't just about physical death. It's about symbolic death. Death of the weak ego. Death of the habits that prevent one from reaching their highest self. Taira spent 3 days meditating on who he really was versus who he was being. And when he returned, he not only stopped drinking, he became one of the most disciplined samurai of his generation. Do you know what the secret was? He understood something most people never understand about bad habits. Your weak habits are not character defects. They are symptoms of a fragmented identity. You act weakly because, deep down, you still identify as a weak person. And that's exactly where Bushido comes in, like surgery on the soul. Bushido is not a set of rules. It is a system of complete reconstruction of your identity. And it works through 5 principles that will literally reprogram how you see yourself and how you act. First principle: gi, righteousness. A samurai with a gi never lied to himself about his habits. If he was being lazy, he admitted it. If he was being cowardly, he acknowledged it. Because you cannot defeat an enemy you cannot see clearly. In your life, gi means stop deceiving yourself about that habit you know is hurting you. Stop making creative excuses. Stop downplaying behaviors that you know don't reflect who you really want to be. Second principle: jin, benevolence. And this is where Bushido becomes revolutionary. Jin is not just about being kind to others. It's about having compassion for yourself during the process of transformation. Do you know why most people fail when they try to break bad habits? Because they hate themselves for having those habits. They punish themselves, sabotage themselves, and create an internal war. A samurai practicing jin understands that true discipline comes from self-love, not self-hatred. You correct yourself because you love yourself enough to want the best version of yourself, not because you hate yourself for your current self. Third principle: king, respect. King is about treating yourself with the same reverence you would treat a revered master. Honest question: would you allow someone you deeply respect to have the habits you have? Of course not. Then why do you allow this to happen to yourself? Fourth principle: makoto, brutal sincerity. This is where it gets serious. Makoto is about looking into the mirror of the soul and seeing exactly what's there. Without filters, without emotional makeup. A behavioral psychologist with 25 years of experience once told me something I've never forgotten. People don't change because they don't want to feel the pain of seeing who they really are. And that's the difference between samurai and ordinary people. Samurai developed the courage to feel that pain, to look at their weak habits and ask, what is this really costing me? Not just today, but 5 years from now, 10 years from now. Makoto means you sit down and make a brutally honest list. On one side, write down all your habits that weaken you. On the other side, write down the real price you're paying for each of them. And when I say real price, I'm not just talking about the obvious consequences. I'm talking about the price on your self-esteem, on your self-respect, on how you feel waking up every day knowing you're being less than you could be. Fifth principle, Meiyo, honor. Meiyo is the principle that transforms everything. It's about living in a way that every action is a reflection of the values you want to represent in the world. Imagine waking up every day and asking, if I were a character in an epic story about someone who overcame all their weaknesses and became their highest self, what choices would that character make today? Because here's the truth that will change your life. You already are that character. The only difference is that you haven't chosen to live up to the story yet. A neuroscientist at Stanford University spent 5 years studying neural patterns of people who managed to permanently eliminate destructive habits. And do you know what he discovered? People who achieved lasting change didn't just change behaviors. They changed their identity. They literally saw themselves differently. In his words, the human brain acts according to the identity it believes itself to have. If you see yourself as a disciplined person, your brain will seek evidence and actions that confirm that identity. If you see yourself as a weak person, it will do exactly the opposite. And here's what's fascinating about Bushido. It doesn't try to change your behaviors first. It changes your identity first. And when your identity changes, the behaviors naturally follow. A researcher specializing in Eastern philosophies at Harvard University wrote, Bushido is fundamentally a system of identity reconstruction. It takes an ordinary person and transforms them into someone who naturally acts with discipline, courage, and integrity. And look, this isn't abstract theory. This is behavioral science that's been applied for hundreds of years. But here's something that will shock you, and that very few people know about the true power of Bushido. There's a secret exercise that samurai did every day that can eliminate any bad habit in less than 30 days. I'm not exaggerating, and it's nothing like you think. They called it daily ego death. And when you understand how it works, you'll understand why modern habit-changing methods fail so badly. Because here's the truth. You don't have bad habits. You have an identity that produces bad habits. And until you symbolically kill that old identity, you'll just be fighting symptoms. This exercise I'm going to share with you has been used by warriors for centuries to completely transform themselves. And today, you'll learn exactly how to apply it to your life. The secret exercise, morning zazen of ego death. The exercise that the samurai practiced was a specific combination of zazen, sitting meditation, with a mental practice called shi no kokufuku, meaning overcoming death. Here's how it worked. The first point was physical practice. The samurai practiced zazen, Zen meditation, daily, especially in the morning. It was a seated meditation where they suspended all judgmental thoughts and let words, ideas, and images pass by without engaging with them. The second point was the mental component, ensef, known as symbolic death. During meditation, they did a specific mental exercise. They visualized their own death in detail. They imagined themselves as if they had already died that day. They mentally buried the person they were the day before with all your habits, fears, and weaknesses. They were reborn as a clean version, without the old patterns. The third point is practical application. Samurai viewed meditation as an essential part of their training, believing that these practices helped them become more skilled warriors and more virtuous individuals. After the meditation, they asked 3 questions. If I died today, would I be proud of how I lived? What habits would I take to the grave that I am ashamed of? If I were reborn now, How would I act differently? And why this exercise did it work? First, because it caused a daily psychological reset. Every morning was literally a new birth. It also caused a detachment from patterns. By symbolically dying, they freed themselves from their old identity. It also generates a clarity of values. Proximity to actual death made trivialities irrelevant, and helps you to have focus on the essentials. It automatically eliminated behaviors that did not serve the higher purpose. This intensive meditation practice was especially helpful in reducing the fear of death on the battlefield and developed the mental discipline necessary to maintain the Bushido code. This exercise can be adapted for today. You can do 10 to 15 minutes of morning meditation, where you mentally bury yesterday's version of yourself and are reborn, committed only to actions that honor your highest values. So let me ask you a question that will change everything. If you could find a system that not only eliminated your bad habits, but transformed you into the person who naturally didn't have those habits, would you use it? Because that's exactly what Bushido offers. It's not about willpower. It's not about punishing yourself. It's about a transformation so profound that your old habits simply no longer make sense for who you've become. Every day you have a choice. You can continue to be held hostage by patterns that weaken you, or you can embrace the path of the inner warrior and discover what you are truly capable of. Bushido teaches that there is no neutrality in life. Every moment, you are becoming stronger or weaker, more disciplined or lazier, more whole or more fragmented. The question is not whether you have the capacity to change. The question is, do you have the courage to symbolically kill who you were to give birth to who you can become? Because in the end, your weak habits are not your destiny. They are just evidence of an identity you haven't yet had the courage to let go of. The code is there. The path is clear. The only thing left is for you to decide whether you will be a spectator of your own life or the warrior of your own transformation. The samurai inside you is waiting. The question is, how much longer will you make him wait?